Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Screencast for January 15th. Hope you all are enjoying your Monday off, and hopefully you enjoyed a Vikings win as much as I did last night. Schedule for the week, not a lot of things to talk about here. One thing I want to point out on Wednesday, January 17th, during our staff meeting time, those that are interested that would like to help with our literacy night will be meeting in the Media Center to come up with ideas and put that all together, and we sure would love your help. District instructional team. Each month, we have representatives that go to the DIT team at a district level. Just a couple things to talk about that. One, 271 Learn proposals. Those are due February 3rd. I think I've talked to you about that before. Just as a reminder, there's information here if you're interested in being a part of that. Also, summer school information was shared out and shared with principals too in an earlier time. We'll be talking a bit about that in another week. I think I shared that in a screencast, but I'm going to have time for us to enter information on that, not this Wednesday, but I believe it's the 24th that we'll do that at our staff meeting, so we can make sure that our kids that want to be part of summer school can do that. District learning supports. Our district learning support team members reported back that the Washburn Clinic grant that's going to expire at the end of the year, and they're looking to renew that. We know that that's very important to our school, and I've expressed that. There will be an affordable housing meeting in Bloomington on January 29th. That's going out in Peach Jar. Just be aware of that. They also talked about library book fines, wondering what that looks like across the district. We do have a policy here. We want to get books in the hands of kids. Sometimes I may have to help do a little restitution if we've lost books and they can't pay those back, but just be aware of that. That's something they talked about. They also looked at PD days and teachers out of the classroom. We want our teachers to get the training as much as they can, but obviously if they're out for meetings or other things, that hurts on the learning in the classroom. So they're just thinking about that and wondering if that fits under DLS or learning supports, learning supports or instructional supports, something to think about. There's also a talk about homework policy and how that all works together too. I haven't talked to the building level about a homework policy, but I think it's always important to remember that if we're sending home homework, kids have to know how to do that. It shouldn't be busy work, and it should be realistic in the amount of time, because we know that not all of our kids have as much support when they're doing that. So just be aware of that. Moving on here, spring testing information. Here's our dates of when we will be doing Access and MCA and MAP. So just be aware of that. Here are the weeks on that, and there'll be more information on that. Kathy Carroll has been helping me put that together. I appreciate that, and really should look pretty similar to last year, where we'll have weeks, for instance, for MCA reading, where all of our teachers that are doing that will try to do that at the same time, just like we did last year. So if you have information on that, let me know, and I know we'll be sharing more information about that as we get closer to the time. Hey, we have kindergarten registration coming up on Thursday, January 25th. This is a time that we show off our school and parents come in with their kids. There's a lot of things that happen. If you're able to help volunteer during that time and like to help make that run smoothly, let myself know or Michelle know. Sometimes it's just helping with the kinders in the classroom while we're talking to the parents. Sometimes it's helping in the office, making sure that the forms get copied, things like that. But the more that we can make that run smoothly, the better it is. So let me know if you are interested in helping on that. PBIS, information to share on that. We did complete our vote on Friday. After school, John Peterson and Becca Schultz did some counting, and we ended up with, as you can see here, 54 yes, 6 no, and 3 abstain. That's about 85% yes, so we are able to move forward with that. So next steps, I'll be completing the application. That's due the 18th. I'll be starting to put together our PBIS team. So if you're interested in being a part of that, let me know. And just as a reminder, we are going to take things slow. We're going to make sure that we do this right, that there's input on that. So just know that this is a long process. It will take a couple years. I realize we've done this before, but we want to make sure that we do it right. And finally, I just want to thank you, whether you voted yes or no or abstained, for thinking about this and being a part of this and just taking the time to really think it through. So personally, I think it's a good thing for our school. It's heading us in the right direction, and I want to make sure that there's buy-in and that we're able to do this right. So thank you for your support on that, and stay tuned for more information on that too. And also a thank you to our recess paras and teachers and staff in general that helped with Inside Recess last week. Had a number of cold days. We also had a number of people that were sick with the flu, and all of you came together to help our kids make it work during recess. So thank you, teachers. If you stay in your classroom, I know you don't have to do that, but that sure was generous of you, and to our paras and everybody else that helped to make it run as smoothly as we could. This is just a good time to review our subs too as we enter this flu season. If you think there's a possibility that you might be absent, I'd encourage you to enter it as soon as you can, because the sooner you get it in, the more likely that we'll have a sub in that place. And if you feel better, as I'm writing on here, no worries. If we have an extra sub, I'd rather do that than be short. So if you're not feeling good, enter it as soon as you can, just so that that calling system can get out that night as opposed to the next day. So as soon as you can, enter that stuff in. Literacy walkthroughs. Hey, last week we completed our second literacy walkthrough, and I know that's happening at other elementary schools across the district. I just want to talk a little bit about it. First of all, this is based off the book Literacy Unleashed by Bonnie Hauk and Sandy Novak, and they are two consultants that have been working with us as a district, and they've been doing that with other schools too, other districts too. Just as a quick reminder, it's a snapshot in time when we do a literacy walkthrough, and we want to use this information as we move forward for staff development to see what our needs are both at a district and a school level. And so I did not share a lot about what that literacy walkthrough form looked like, mainly because I didn't want people to change what they were doing. I wanted it to be real and just to see where we're at, and then be able to think about what we want to do next. But understandably, people are interested in what that looks like, so I included a link here. And if you want to look at that, you can. I'll talk a little bit about it. Some of the things that this form looks for is just, first of all, looking at what the climate culture is for literacy in the classroom. How our students engaged in literacy activities during the literacy block, and of course that was happening. And looking at how our libraries are organized, not only for fiction and nonfiction, but is there a system that kids know how to use to find books in the classroom, eye charts, display of student work, and interactive word walls. And some of those things we haven't spent a lot of time talking about, at least since I've been here, and I would question whether we've talked about word walls or student work on the walls in a long time. So those are some of the things that we're looking at, and then if we wanted to work further on that, we'll talk about that. So you can see that we also look at learning targets, and then we're looking at whole group, small group, independent reading work. And when you're only in there for 5 minutes, you're really only focusing on one of those. So if it's a whole group lesson, we would go down to the whole group lesson and see what type of things are happening there. So once again, this is a snapshot, and it's not something that we're looking at a particular grade level or particular teacher, but when you put all that information together, that gives us some good information both at a building level and at a district level to think about what we're doing well and where we want to go with for staff development. So feel free to talk with me if you have any questions on this. Just a few other quick things. We have our literacy night on February 22nd, this Wednesday at 8. There's a planning time for those of you that are interested in helping to plan what we'll do during literacy night. We'd sure love your support on that. So even if you're not able to make it on the 22nd, feel free to join us if you'd like to be part of that. Quickly, just here's that report card information I shared last time. I just want to make sure that you have that. Just a reminder that on January 22nd, that's the opening. That's when the grading window opens. And we want to make sure that everything is entered by 8 a.m. on Monday, the February 5th, so that we can start printing those out and have those set to go for students. Well, that's all I have. Have a great Monday, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care, everyone.